So today I am celebrating Turkey Day. What up, nerds? My name is Leslie Smith. Welcome to the Nerdy Narrative, a channel where I like to talk about all sorts of fun bookish related things in the science fiction, fantasy, horror, manga, and most recently, nonfiction genres. So if you like to read in those genres, then you have found the right spot. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. I am so thankful to you for watching. Thank you so much for being a part of the family and for taking the time to see what is going on in my little corner of the world. So in today's episode of fun, I'm going to be doing the Booktube Giving Tag. I was tagged by Nieves and Alan from the Library of Allenxandria. I'll have both of their channels linked below. This is an original tag created by Elliot Brooks in order to raise awareness and funds for the Phoenix Children's Hospital. I will have that link in the description below. If you would like to check them out and consider donating this year, it would be greatly appreciated. But without further ado, let's gobble up these questions, shall we? Question number 1. What's a book you would give everyone if you could? I would choose Redeeming Love by Francine Rivers. It is a fictional retelling of the book of Hosea from the Bible. Yes, it is from the Bible. No, you don't have to be religious to read and understand what the underlying most important part of this book is, and it is what unconditional love is. It doesn't have to be read in the perspective of God's unconditional love for us, but unconditional love from one person to another. It is beautiful. I have read this book more than any other book I've ever read in my life. I cry every time. I cry because my heart gets broken. I cry because it gets mended. It's just phenomenal. I have recommended this book so many times. This book is one I've recommended that I've had more people come back and thank me for recommending than any other book ever. Phenomenal. I'm really excited because they are making a movie. It's filmed, it's ready to go. They're just waiting to release it. I don't know when. It's supposed to be sometime this year. Let's hope Hollywood doesn't screw it up. Question number 2. What's a book you couldn't give a rat's hiney about? A Memory Called Empire by Arkady Martine. So it's funny. I read it. I didn't really like it. It took me forever to read it. It has a great core story. I love the murder mystery. I love the political intrigue. I love the little hint of a love story in the background. I loved those. Didn't have enough of it. It was wrapped up in too many layers of science fiction and just stuff that made me feel stupid because I just couldn't understand it. I've talked bad about this book so much to so many people that I've talked myself into giving the sequel a second chance. I don't know how that happened, but it did. So I'm a little excited to see what book 2 has in store. So it's funny how things happen like that, isn't it? Question number 3. Given that the holidays are coming up, what's a book you hope someone buys for you? That would be the illustrated Harry Potters. My copies are the trade paperbacks. So the material they were printed on was really terrible quality. Did not hold up at all. I have my Robert Jordan Wheel of Time books that are mass market paperbacks that look more mint condition and have been read more than my terrible Harry Potters that I hide because they're so ugly. I do have the last 2 in hardback because by the time they came out, I was actually working and making my own money and could afford hardbacks. So I was plotting on getting them all in hardback, but then I saw that they had the illustrated version and they're beautiful and I want them and I need them, and so Santa, hook me up. I've been so good this year, mainly because I can't go anywhere due to the pandemic, but still. Question number 4. What is a book or series you have given up on? The Sword of Shannara, or the Shannara Chronicles. Okay, so I might have liked this if I read it when I was in junior high, when I was reading Tolkien. I just can't get into it. It's boring. A lot of people will say Robert Jordan has long descriptions and will describe a blue dress for days and days. No. This guy will spend 30 pages describing the trees in the forest. Has no bearing on the story. could not hold my attention. I did read it in its entirety. I did try to read book 2, The Elf Sons of Shannara. I tried to read it physically, and then I tried the audiobook to see if that would help. And no, I didn't even like Scott Brick reading it to me. So that's going to be a no for me. I'm just over it. I don't care. So many people are like, oh, but Leslie, Terry Brooks was responsible for this, that, and the other. I don't care. I'm glad that he inspired some of the authors that I love to read today. I can't. I've got way too many other books that I want to read and reread than to spend time slogging through one I just don't like. I mean, I've read over 100 books this year, and if I only read one that I didn't like, I'd call that a win. Question number 5. Who's the character you wish an author would give more time to? We're going to go into the Dresden Files for this one. The character I choose, Mouse. I love Mouse. Everybody loves Mouse. Mouse does not get enough time. I need him more in the forefront instead of the background. The last few books, he's just really not even been a part of it all. One of my most favorite scenes that occurs in the Dresden Files, which has 17 books out, and it is with Mouse. And I thought, man, this is fantastic. I'm so glad this is where Jim Butcher is going with this character, and then we never got another scene like it. So I've been very disappointed and just waiting anxiously to see if I'm going to get more, and I just haven't. In fact, I've gotten less of Mouse. I need more Mouse, man's best friend. Give me the dog. Question number 6. Who's the character you wish an author would give less time to? Well, we're going to go into another favorite series, The Faithful and the Fallen by John Gwynne. And the character that I would like to see less of in this series, Lycos. I hate Lycos more than any other character I have met this year. When I see a chapter with his name, I want to rip those pages out. That is the most awful person that has ever been created on paper. Ever. If you've read the series, you know exactly why I feel the way I do, and I know you're agreeing with me, and I know you are hollering, yes, tear that Joker's pages out. Question number 7. If you had to give up almost all of your books, which ones would you keep? Oh, well, first of all, I'm going to try and save every single one of them because I only keep the ones that I really, 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 really love. Ones that I will reread time and time again. So that is difficult. But if I had to pick in order of priority, I would most assuredly go with Sanderson. Those are books that I'll never get tired of. They get better every time I read them. So I would definitely keep Sanderson. I would definitely go for My Wheel of Time by Robert Jordan, The Sword of Truth by Terry Goodkind, and my Dresden Files books. Those would be the top ones because without fail, I have loved them every time I've read them and reread them, and my love and appreciation grows every time I read them. So those are definitely going to be the first ones I go for. Secondly, I'll just wipe out my 2 shelves of science fiction and horror. Question number 8. What's the best book or bookish thing you've ever been given? Well, I just so happen to have the very first book I was ever given in my whole life. When I was born, my Aunt Patricia gifted this little book to me that my mom held for me until I was old enough to have it. And I've just held on to it my whole life. Magically, it is not torn up or marked up in any way, which is really strange because when I was a little girl, I went through a phase where I wrote on everything. Everything got destroyed because I wrote my name on it once I learned how to write my name. In fact, when we moved out of our house when I was 7, I think it was, my mom took down the curtains and discovered that I had taken a permanent marker and signed my name behind every curtain. So yeah, the book is just a very cute little book talking about little girls and what they're made of, and it's just been a treasure that I am fortunate to still have. Question number 9. What's a book someone gave you that you wish you could give right back? I have loved reading since I was a child. My dad always took me to the library, so he never bought me books. He would just take me to the library every couple weeks. But my birth mother bought me books, my stepmom bought me books, and then my friends Brian, Steven, Mitch, and Benjamin bought me books. And they all know exactly what I love to read. So they always bought me books like in the Wheel of Time series or the Sword of Truth series. They knew my taste very well and bought accordingly. So I don't have any that I didn't like or wish I could give right back. Over the years, the only books I ever had that I didn't like were ones I bought myself. So, and finally, name a time in a book that a character was given something really meaningful. And the answer to that question, actually, I just read recently in Oathbringer, and it is when Shaylin and Elokar are on a mission with a few others in Kholinar. Elokar is the king. But he's not a good king, and he knows he's not a good king. Everybody else knows he's not a good king, but he is trying. He's trying to surround himself with those that he wants to emulate, and that's part of why he's on this mission. He is trying to take initiative. He is trying to show his ability to become the king that they need. Elokar is insecure about it. Rightfully so. People are not scared to tell him that he's a bad king. But Shaylin has this gift. Shaylin has a gift of seeing what a person can be and drawing it on paper. And something about that drawing just inspires the person that it's of. And just let me read the passage to you. This isn't a spoiler. It's just a small passage. But in case you read it and it didn't hit you the same way it did me, maybe it will now. Elokar took a drink of his wine. There are a few people remaining to whom I can still be a hero, Radiant. This city, my son, Storms. He was a baby when I last saw him. He'd be 3 now, locked in this palace. Shaylin set down her food. Wait here. She fetched her sketchpad and pencils from a shelf in the showroom and then returned to Elokar and settled down. She placed some spears out for light and then started drawing. Elokar sat at the table across from her, lit by the cup of wine. What are you doing? I don't have a proper sketch of you, Shaylin said. I want one. Creation sprints started to appear around her immediately. They seemed normal, though they were so odd anyway, it could be hard to tell. Elokar was a good man. In his heart, at least. Shouldn't that matter most? He moved to look over her shoulder, but she was no longer sketching from sight. We'll save them, Shaylin whispered. You'll save them. It will be all right. Elokar watched silently as she filled in the shading and finished the picture. Once she lifted her pencil, Elokar reached past her and rested his fingers on the page. It depicted Elokar kneeling on the ground, beaten down, clothing ragged. But he looked upward, outward, chin raised. He wasn't beaten. No, this man was noble, regal. Is that what I look like? He whispered. Yes. It's what you could be, at least. May I have it? She lacquered the page and then handed it to him. Thank you, Storms. He almost seemed to be in tears. That was so meaningful. If you've not read the book and it's a little out of context, it might not hit you, but if you have read this book and you remember how important that sketch was, doesn't it just hit you some kind of way? There you have it, guys. That is the Booktube Giving Tag. I thank you so much for coming and watching today. I hope you have a wonderful Thanksgiving with your family. I hope you get to spend a lot of good quality time together and maybe have a little time to get some reading in as well. Have a fantastic rest of your day. I'll see you soon.